All right, look, I know this is in French, but just look at her face when she's asked a question. This is the weirdest thing you're going to see all week, and it's Monday. It is Monday, and this is the weirdest thing you're going to see all week.
Il y a le IRA qui est en place présentement, qui ne fait pas l'affaire de M. Trump, et on a au Canada la clause miroir, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a certaines compagnies comme Stellantis et Volkswagen qui pourraient peut-être perdre ce financement-là ici au Canada. Qu'est-ce que vous leur dites en ce moment pour les rassurer que vous serez là, et serez-vous là pour les compenser si vous devez éliminer ces subventions-là?
Alrighty, well, things are getting pretty out of hand here in Canada. Today, we're going to be focusing on one specific press conference, and there's more than enough content to fill pretty much the entire video. Freeland is going through a midlife crisis. She's having medical concerns. In fact, I'm going to pose a question out there. If there's any doctors or medical professionals, I really want you to diagnose Freeland, because there's something seriously wrong with her when she's talking to reporters in this press conference. And then we're going to start off with the polls, because there's an update and it's kind of weird. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does tremendously help grow the channel. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. So again, the polls, you still got Pierre sitting at 215 projected seats. This is the latest update as of yesterday, and then Justin Trudeau's gone up somehow. I don't know how, I don't know in what world he's gone up, but according to these opinion projected polls, you have Trudeau sitting at 64 projected seats. I think he was at 61 or 62. The Bloc is still at 44, and Jagmeet Singh has gone down to 4 projected seats. He was sitting at 22. Now he's down to 18. But when you look at the odds of winning the most seats and odds of a majority government, it's still 99% likely across the board for Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives of winning the most seats. So there's not really a reason to worry yet, but we certainly want to keep the momentum going in terms of, what's most favorable for the future of Canada. And that would be the Conservative Party as it stands right now. Now let's get into this extremely weird medical crisis that Freeland is experiencing.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for being here. Just off the top, I'd like to point out that yesterday StatsCan published some upward revisions of Canada's GDP. They revised upward GDP for 21, 22, and 23. That is some welcome data, and it makes me even more optimistic that after a really challenging time and the deepest recession since the Great Depression itself, Canada is on track for a soft landing.
We are not, though. Canada is doing horribly, economically speaking. I mean, socially too, we're absolutely a shit show. And with Trump being in, look, I'm super pro-Trump. I've said this before. I'll say it again. In fact, I've even lost like a significant amount of subscribers since I've come out of the closet and said, hey, yeah, I'm a Canadian and I support Trump fully. Like, absolutely, right? That's the closet I'm talking about, folks. And we're not doing good, man. Trump is awesome for North America. He's awesome for America. But in terms of Canada, unless we have a change of leader, it's not going to be good for Canada, because Trudeau is and the Liberals. I mean, you're going to see. Look at how she responds in her own press conference. She's insane, and she's deciding hundreds of billions of dollars how it's spent in Canada. It's craziness.
I'm here together with my colleague, Minister Joly, because we just had earlier today the first meeting of the Canada-US Cabinet Committee, which I will be chairing with Minister LeBlanc as the Vice Chair. This committee will be an operational, action-oriented committee. The idea is that it will operate in the way that the COVID committee operated, bringing together ministers to address in a working fashion an urgent issue. We had a really, really good, very productive, very constructive conversation. We focused on the Canada-US trading relationship and the border, and we agreed that we will be meeting often and we'll have another meeting early next week. Yesterday, we've also, all of us have been working hard and talking with Canadians and American counterparts over the past few days. Yesterday, I met with leaders from the steel sector in Hamilton. I met with leaders from the auto parts and auto sector in the GTA, and I met with the leaders of Canada's biggest banks. I also spoke with Denis Shmyhal, the Prime Minister of Ukraine. Later today, I'm going to talk to the leaders of the Maple 8 pension funds. Tomorrow, I'll be in Alberta, and I'll be meeting with leaders from our oil and gas sector. And I'll also be meeting with the Ukrainian-Canadian community. In Alberta tomorrow, we'll actually be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress in Alberta.
Yeah, so this is something that's kind of crazy, man. Ukraine does have, like, there's a lot of Ukrainian Canadians, and I don't think the majority of Canadians have an issue with that. But when it comes to Ukraine, it's such a touchy subject because still to this day, we don't have answers on why Canada has spent billions. I mean, it's not as substantial as America, but in terms of how much money our country produces versus how much we've sent, it doesn't make any sense. Like, we've spent billions, tens, dozens of billions, I mean, borderline hundreds of billions of dollars towards Ukraine, whether they are, loans with interest, whether it's just stuff we've given to them, troops and ammo and toys to play with in their war. It's still not our problem. That's not something that we have voted on. I get that there's a lot of Ukrainian Canadians living here, but Ukraine is not a part of NATO. We can provide humanitarian aid to, get our conscience guilty free, but to the point that we've been doing, it don't make sense. It don't make sense. And when it comes to this stuff, this is something that Canadians should be voting on. This is where the lack of transparency really exists in modern government, is that people don't support this. People are brainwashed and thinking that that's what we need to do, but the majority of people that have bigger than a peanut up there, they don't support this.
Trump follows through on tariff threats. Is Canada willing to put reciprocal tariffs on the U.S.?
Thank you for the question. We did discuss at some length today the Canada-U.S. trading relationship. I want to start by reminding us all that today our trading relationship is governed by President Trump and Ambassador Lighthizer trade deal. We renegotiated NAFTA. We now have the USMCA. It's a deal that we agreed with them. That's really important for Canadians to bear in mind. The President and Ambassador Lighthizer have both talked about this deal as being a model trade deal, and I agree with them. The Prime Minister had a good conversation with President-elect and President Trump this week, and I've been in really frequent contact with Ambassador Lighthizer this week. I've stayed in touch with him and actually met with him in person over the summer. In terms of what the future may hold, we know that our trading relationship with the United States
is trash,
strong and mutually beneficial.
See, how can people have such different opinions on something that's so crystal clear? Our trade deals are absolutely trash. That's not me saying, hey, we should be taking better advantage of America. We provide America with a lot of stuff. And I think just common sense Americans would say, yeah, no, Canada should be compensated for stuff they're bringing into the country, into America. Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are not the people to negotiate. Look at Chrystia Freeland. Look at her answer these questions. She's all bobbly and twitchy. It's so bizarre. That's not the person I want negotiating multi-billion-dollar deals on behalf of this country and its population. Not the person.
The unique position that Canada has with the U.S. as a trading partner is based on the reality that we are the most important export market for the United States by a long shot. Canada is a bigger export market for the United States than China, Japan, the UK,
Combined.
France combined. Think about that for a minute. That means that, sure, they are important for us. Absolutely. They are an important market for Canadians, and they are important as a country whose supply chains and our own are so closely integrated. But the thing for Canadians to remember is we are important for them too. And we really learned that during the 232 steel and aluminum conflict. And at that moment, we did take a step, which we took really reluctantly and with no pleasure, which was when those illegal tariffs were imposed on Canada, we did respond with dollar for dollar retaliatory tariffs because we knew it was important to defend the national interest. What's important about that whole experience is that Canada and the United States agreed at the end of the day that it didn't make sense for our two countries to have those tariffs imposed. And it was Ambassador Lighthizer with whom I did a deal, he did a deal with me, that those tariffs on steel and aluminum would be lifted. And just a final point about the strength of that partnership. Yesterday I was in Hamilton meeting with leaders of the Canadian steel industry. And specifically, I was at Stelco.
And you're LARPing. You wear a child-size overalls, you wear a child-size helmet, and you go around for these photo ops, and you try to say, hey, look, we're one of them for these photos. I don't agree with politicians doing that. I think it's disingenuous on all sides. I don't agree with that level of LARPing. Maybe it's like a feel-good moment for the employees that are working there to experience, a politician, a prime minister candidate coming in and dressing as them. But just from my own personal viewpoint, I don't agree with that. I don't think that they should be trying to dress like that. Maybe a hard hat, but the whole shebang. Chrystia Freeland was she went to Toys R Us or Babies R Us to get the outfit, like a Halloween costume size, trades worker outfit. It's crazy. The whole shebang, head to toe.
Cliffs, that is a U.S. steel company, which is owned by Lourenço Gonçalves. He is a major Trump supporter. He has real confidence, and he spoke about this yesterday in Hamilton, that because the Canada-U.S. economic relationship is so mutually beneficial, it will endure. And he's put his money where his mouth is. So just think about this for a minute. A significant Trump supporter, a significant U.S. steel producer, has made the decision to acquire a Canadian steelmaker, which depends very significantly on Canadian steel exports to the United States. To me, that is a very powerful proof point of really the fundamental economic rationale, the fundamental economic benefit that both countries get from the economic relationship.
All right, look, I know this is in French, but just look at her face when she's asked a question. This is the weirdest thing you're going to see all week, and it's Monday. It is Monday, and this is the weirdest thing you're going to see all week.
Il y a le IRA qui est en place présentement, qui ne fait pas l'affaire de M. Trump, et on a au Canada la clause miroir, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a certaines compagnies comme Stellantis et Volkswagen qui pourraient peut-être perdre ce financement-là ici au Canada. Qu'est-ce que vous leur dites en ce moment pour les rassurer que vous serez là, et serez-vous là pour les compenser si vous devez éliminer ces subventions-là?
What the heck is wrong with you, man? There are some crackheads that I drove by downtown that were literally tweaking out, and I would trust them to answer a question at a national press conference more than I would trust you, Chrystia Freeland.
Donald Trump has said that he doesn't like you very much. Said that he doesn't like you very much in the past. What makes you the best person to lead the Canadian government's efforts here?
I think that President Trump
You're fired.
would speak for himself, and I would never put words in his mouth. But in my experience, President Trump respects strength, and he respects people and countries who are strong and clear in defending their countries, in defending their national interest. That's what I've always done, and that's what I will continue to do. And the proof that that approach works is, I would say, threefold. One, we did a really good trade deal with the previous Trump administration. We did a the U.S. that works for Canada. I think that we are going to find that some of the key measures in that deal, particularly being clear that wages are, that good jobs, good paying jobs need to be retained in any trade deal. That's kind of the heart of the innovation of the USMCA, and we did that together. Second proof point, hang on, super quick. Second proof point is we were successful with the steel and aluminum tariffs. Canada was unique in that regard, and we see how our steel and aluminum industries are benefiting from that. That was a deal that we did, that I did with Ambassador Lighthizer, who continues to be a really influential person with President Trump and his team. And then the final thing, which is a real change in the world and something I think positive for Canada, is what Canada has done with tariffs on Chinese EVs, on Chinese steel, and on Chinese aluminum. That was a big change in Canadian trade policy. It was a recognition that Chinese oversupply is a danger to our economy, to our manufacturers, to our workers. That is something actually that Ambassador Lighthizer and President Trump have been calling for and talking about for some time. Canada is very aligned with the United States in that respect, and that's a final area where I see a firm foundation for our work together.
More CBSA guards at the border. What are you going to do about increasing strength there?
Yeah, this is something that we really, really, really need to tighten up on. So for those that aren't aware, Donald Trump said that when he gets in day one, he's going to be deporting bye-bye to 18 plus million illegals. It's going to take a little bit of time, but a lot of these people are going to be sent back to their country, the southern borders, other countries around the world. But a lot of these people, an unknown amount of number, potentially millions, like upwards of 2 or 3 million people, are going to be running north, flocking north, and trying to literally just cross illegally into Canada. And that's a real thing. It's not like a conspiracy. It's an actual thing that is really going to happen. Whether it's 500,000 or whether it's 5 million, we don't know. But Canada is not set up. And for those that don't know, we pay refugees, people that seek asylum here in Canada to like help them get on their feet, right? For a year or 2 years, we don't really know. It's actually mixed information. But what we do know is that it's $5,000-$6,000 a month. And oftentimes it's you have accommodations that are included. This is why you go to Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, all the hotels are like, majority of the time they're fully booked, because they're booked to like immigrants or refugees, people that have sought asylum. It's craziness. It's craziness what's going on in Canada. We can't sustain this. We can't afford this. So we super duper have to build a wall, build a trench, build a river. I don't know. Build something. We got to tighten up our security, because it's so easy to cross into Canada illegally from America, and actually vice versa. There's a road called Roxham Road in Quebec that you can just literally go down like a SLR, a Forest Service road. Right? You can just literally go down it. It's not paved, it's gravel. Maybe there's a little bit of bushwhacking, like not really, but like a lot of people have done it. A lot of people, you have like even independent journalists and YouTubers have gone and like documented this road, and you can literally see people walking in from America with their bags and their families and stuff like that, and they're greeted there. Okay, here's your ticket. Go see that person. They're going to help you get set up. We cannot afford that. Canada is so overly progressive. that this Liberal government is going to be salivating. They're going to be frothing at the mouth going, yes, yes, we get more votes and we're going to be spending more of our taxpayers' money on this, which is something that 95% of Canadians, if not more, if it came to a vote on this issue on whether we should be funding this type of activity or not, people would be voting against it because it's freaking nuts. It's absolutely nuts. America had that problem in very different spots, but Canada has that problem, and we don't have the right leadership to combat this. In fact, they allow this to happen. They expedite the problem. They make it worse. It's craziness.
As Melanie said, it's quite intentional on the part of the Prime Minister. First of all, that Dominic LeBlanc is the deputy chair of this committee. That's really a sign of how important this issue is for Canada and for the Canada-US relationship today. It's also entirely intentional that Minister Miller is a member of the committee. We have a plan, and we are working to elaborate it further. I'm not here today to announce more details of it, but I do want Canadians to know it is one of our two central points of focus. Ministers are working hard on it, and we absolutely believe that it's an issue that Canadians are concerned about. Canadians are right to be concerned about it, and Canadians need to know that we're a sovereign country. Our borders are safe and secure, and we control them. And the only other thing I'll say is this week I've also had conversations with a number of premiers. I know other colleagues have done so. So we're going to need to take a real Team Canada approach on all of these issues.
On China tariffs, you wrapped up a new consultation last month on China tariffs. Can you give us an update on what you heard and what we should expect is coming next on that?
I don't have an announcement to make on further China tariffs today. I will say that those tariffs that we announced in the summer and that came into force in October are really essential when it comes to protecting Canadian workers, and they're really important as well as a new foundation for the Canada-US relationship and as a point of really clear alignment between Canada and the United States. When I met in person with Ambassador Lighthizer over the summer, that was one of the issues that we discussed. You're quite right that there are some other consultations and there are some other decisions we need to take, and we will have announcements on those in the days to come. One other related area that it is worth highlighting is circumvention. And at my meeting with the steel industry on Thursday, and actually had a meeting I had with the steel sector last Friday in Sault Ste. Marie, circumvention was an issue that Canadian producers raised. It's something we take seriously and will be looking into as well.
You talked about the premiers. Will Pierre Poilievre also be part of Team Canada and opposition parties in general?
I obviously cannot speak for the leader of the official opposition. But what I can say is in the conversations I've already had this week, I spoke with Liberals, I spoke with people from the NDP, and I spoke with Conservatives. I really believe that Canada, at our best, we have a capacity to recognize when there is an issue that touches the national interest. And at our best as a country, we have a capacity when we recognize such an issue to work together. We did that during the first Trump administration when we renegotiated NAFTA, and that really was a Team Canada effort. On my NAFTA council, a prominent conservative, Rona Ambrose, was a member of that council, and she played a really important role. And actually, I think I can say that she's become a friend. We're actually both from small towns in northern Alberta. So that was really important. Equally, during COVID, we had a real Team Canada approach. We had very regular meetings between the Prime Minister and all the premiers. And that contributed to a really strong and effective Canadian COVID response. Had Canada suffered the mortality levels that the United States experienced, for example, an additional 70,000 Canadians would have died. Think about that. Those are, our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles who wouldn't be here. And we were able to do that because of a Team Canada approach. So I really hope and believe that that's the kind of approach we need to take today. Thank you. Thank you.
Just to answer that question. And Krista has said everything about us not wanting to be partisan, and of course we won't. The question is whether Pierre Poilievre will want to be partisan and defend Canada's interests. Our goal is to make sure that we work all together.
Shut up. She just had to get that last little talking point in. These people are off their rockers. They don't have the best interest of Canada in mind. They are delusional. They're wasting a lot of money. They are bad for business, bad for the economy. And this is why you're seeing such an increase still to this day in a rise of Trudeau, get out, let's call an election. People are fed up. People are fed up, especially that America just had their election. Canadians got that FOMO, right? Like, come on, man. You guys had yours. Let's have ours. Let's go. Let's just get it done and over with, especially before Trump takes office again, January 20th. People really want this change to happen so that we just have a clean slate and Trudeau and the Liberals are not the ones negotiating with Trump, and it's right out the gate, it's Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party. That's my own personal opinion, though. I would absolutely love to know yours. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.